There he goes.
I'm thinking the way it's pointing is the way the damn water's running. Just that way. That's the only thing I can imagine, because over there it'll do the same thing. Down over yonder it'll do the same thing, and then over there by the camper it'll actually start angling that way. It'll actually look that direction. But then, I mean, yeah, here again. Let me try it here one more time. Because I know I put that second flag close to the last flag there because it was giving me a kind of a reading. It first started giving me a reading there, and then it did a full open at that second flag. And then it stayed open all the way until that third flag. This is how it went. Well, I mean, but they say you can trust these things to a point, but it just, sometimes it just gives you a hollow hole in the ground.
Well, you had said that probably somewhere over here would be a good place to put it.
Yeah, that was thinking about getting my machine in and out, and what y'all's plans were for what y'all wanted to do.
Staying open right there?
Yep.
And watch, it'll probably close back up.
Keep going. Yeah, it's closing back up now.
Yeah,
right
he asked me that Sunday if I saw anything. And sometimes on some pieces of land, the way the drainage runs and all, you can get some ideas, but on this one I
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, when it rains here, 90% of the water goes up through that camper.
Drop it where you want it.
Over there? No, don't do that. You might go stick it over there with that daggone.
No, give me it. I already see how this is working.
Yeah.
Drop it where you want it.
I want to.
What do you mean? This is gonna be the marker?
Yep.
Where it's gonna be? Yeah, so she can get in trouble if we don't hit water. Oh shit, Jack.
Can you actually travel with this thing going down the road? Because the way you come in, you are like a turtle speed.
That depends on the road. On a flat level, if you have it on a flat level, if you have enough time, you can get 55 out of it. If you got a slight downhill, you can top 60. But you don't want to go that fast. It ain't got no springs under the back. It's got some springs in the front, ain't got no springs in the back. So you hit a bump, and I mean, you can come clear of the road.
Oh wow! And there's no AC in there?
Oh no, there's no AC.
In a situation like you have here, a solar pump is really only competitive if you don't have batteries and all that kind of stuff. If you got a solar pump and it's a permanent magnet motor and it's running directly off your solar panels and it's pumping into a cistern, a big tank somewhere. So when the sun shines, the pump runs. When the sun don't shine, you don't get no water. That's doable. But when you have a solar pump and you want water on demand, pressurized water on demand at your faucet, well, now you got to have batteries, you got to have a charge controller, you got to have an inverter, you got to have a bunch of other stuff that gets real expensive. And that's what true solar pumps are 12 volt, and they just run straight off your solar panel. But like I said, that means you got to have a tank, and when the sun's shining, it pumps water and you get water. And when the sun doesn't, you have to have enough storage to be able to use it.
Or you have a battery backup.
Or you have a battery backup. If you're going to buy a pump and you got solar panels, you got a charge controller, you got a battery set up, you got an inverter, why waste it on just your pump? Why not be powering other stuff? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Well, eventually I want to get to that point, but you know, right now I ain't able.
You can take a 220 volt AC pump, like most everybody has. If you have enough cars, you can take the batteries out of all your cars. You can wire them up. You can put an inverter on it to convert AC to DC. I'm sorry, to convert DC from the batteries to AC. You can wire that inverter to your pump and it'll go just like a solar pump will. Now when the batteries are dead, you gotta have some way to charge the batteries.
Yeah.
But essentially, most solar outfits, that's exactly what it is. You're running off of batteries, and then when the sun shines, the solar panels put a trickle charge back in. What do y'all want to do with this dirt here?
So, but where did the water come from?
He's making it so it ain't dusty. That water tank.
Oh. So we done hit a different type of water? Or, excuse me, a different type of sand? Or what?
Bedrock, I think. Blue stuff. Yeah, it's blue.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's him. He knows. I don't know.
So how's it looking?
Well, it looks like an easy job for me so far. We can put pipe in. We hadn't cut off no water. That's good news. If you hit water too shallow, that's bad news, because high risk of contamination. So I was anxious to hit rock, but I didn't want. You don't want to hit water too shallow, because then you run the risk of bacteria and all kind of problems. So this looks good. There's not too many fractures for water to run in, and you want fractures at the bottom. You don't want them so much at the top. You know what I mean?
So so basically you hit water at how many feet was it?
I hit the first water at 97 feet, and it looked like I may have hit a little bit more water twice, but I can't say for sure. Not a lot. I mean, less than 5. You can go to bed tonight knowing that you got enough water to run your house and water your animals. Don't have enough for irrigation, but we can come back Monday and see if we can do something about getting the kind of water you want. But it's kind of nice to know you got the water you need. Got it up.
Has a little bit of grit in it.
I ain't trying that.
Why, there ain't no bugs down there.
Huh?
We got water.
So you got water, there it is.
You said it's 20 gallons a minute?
Yes, ma'am. Well, like I said, we hit the bulk of that water in the last 10 feet here.
Like 240.
So we can go 2 more rods. 2 more rods will be 250 feet, and see if you pick up any more.
Well, I stay with 20 gallons a minute right now.
As far as I know, I have never lost water. I mean, by going deeper. There are parts of the country where I've heard that can happen, but it's never happened to me here yet. I don't think it's a minimal risk of reducing your flow to go deeper. The only way that would happen is if you happen to fall into some kind of cavern and it's carrying the water away. And that typically happens in limestone areas like certain parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. You don't have that here.
But you put the pump down in there to carry it away.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm curious. I'm curious to. I like to kind of try to go and explore and see whether we've developed that fracture zone fully. Because, like I said, the bulk of that water is just in the last 10 feet. But at the same time, you got lots of water. You got plenty of water.
You did something good, Jim.
On the acreage that you have, I can't really imagine that you need any more. So the call is up to you as to how you want to spend the money. Eventually, you'll hit granite, but I don't know how far down that'll be. At some point, you'll hit granite, and the bottom of the, well, they say, how the hell do they know this stuff? They say the bottom of the crust is granite. The bottom of the crust layer, the upper crust layer, and the top of the mantle layer is granite. All the way around the globe. So theoretically, at some point you would hit granite, but I don't know how to hit that one. This is not granite. It's like,
Are you gonna be able to pull them all up, or no?
not till I fix that hose.
Okay.
What do you think?
We're done.
I don't think we picked up any.
Nope.
It's still a good well.
Huh?
It's still a good well.
Yeah.
I just, is it gonna clear up though?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Like we're at 255,
255.
and the first good water, the water we drank was at 205.
Well, the first good vein came in at like 197. Something like that.
So how deep would the pump go down?
I would put it down about 200 feet or 200, we can go as deep as 240.
I don't want to go too low because I don't want to get all that settlement.
At 240, you still got 15 feet of hole for it to settle out.
You think it will clear up or it'll build up over time?
No, I think it'll clear up. Most of these clear up. There's a few that get to be a pain in the ass, but 90% of them, when you start using water, they clear up.
Okay. It seemed like that one at 200, man, that sucker was clear. Even though it had a little foggy to it.
But, well, there's air in there. There's a little bit of mineral oil because I put mineral oil in for my hammer lubricant. So, you know, there's stuff in there. But I'm telling you that about 95% of that color is coming at 97 feet, where that first water was.
The clear?
No, not the first clear, but the first water. The first water I hit was at 97 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out, when it first came out, it came out looking like Yahoo or Yoo-hoo.
Yep.
And that's where but that vein is washing out, and the longer I drill and the more water washes through there, the more it opens up. And that's why it keeps coloring back up, because it keeps washing out.
I got you.
Worst come to worst, we could put a liner in there and shut that off.
And if that's what it needs to be usable, that's what we'll do. But
What do you mean by that? How does that work?
it's just a casing extender. It's a, you don't want me to have to pull that casing out, ream out to 100 feet, and then put 100 feet of casing back in, and then go back through and clean everything all back up. You don't want to have to do that. Because between 48 feet or so and 97 feet, there's nothing but blue rock. I mean, it's just blue, and it ain't got no fractures in it. So what we would do is we would put a packer, what they call a packer seal. It's a seal on the bottom of a piece of 4-inch or 5-inch, and at the top, and we would just push it down there so it straddles that bad place and it holds all the stuff out.
And that would keep it would still be an open hole there, right?
Yes. It would just have a little 6, 7, 8 foot piece of pipe right where that vein is. Then the rest of it.
How do you get it down there?
I have a truck.
You have another truck?
I have lots of trucks. Ask my wife.
What year is that truck right there?
This one is a 1974. Now, I didn't say I had any new trucks.
Well, we knew it was old. We just didn't know how old.
I was guessing 50.
Really? No, this was a 1974, and in 1985, it went into a dealer and it was stripped and sandblasted and rebuilt. And we bought it in 1987, and I've been running it since 1987.
I got it. Put on top of that big plate a cap.
Yeah.
And then what?
Then a pump.
Now, how do you hook the inch PVC to that PVC? Or you got it
With the cap. It's called a sanitary well seal. Yep.
I got you.
In the driveway.
What do you mean grouting?
When we drilled that casing hole
Yeah.
and we set the pipe in it, you saw how loose it was. And you saw me put that bag around there. I got to pull that bag out and I got to fill that space with a DHEC approved grout. That's part of the $400 fee that you pay to comply with all the crap the government wants you to do.
So let me ask you this: when people have their numbers put on a well, saying this is how deep the well is that where they hit water, or is that as much as they drilled?
That tag that goes on there has your registration, your license number, so that they know who did the work.
Yeah.
It has the date. It has a date on it that I finished. It has the amount of casing, the amount of 6-inch pipe I put in. It has the static water level. It has the flow, and it has the total depth, total number of feet.
How do you know all that in that pipe? You got to put something down in there?
No, I mean you can tell pretty close by just dropping a pebble how deep the water is, because you did the one Mississippi, 2 Mississippi thing. It's roughly 10 foot of Mississippi, so you can get a real good idea that way. But I have what's called a boomer. It's a sonic meter, and you can put it on there and it'll tell you within a foot of what the level is.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious how come that sucker ain't coming up? It just stays the same level as down there? Like when it builds up water? Like when the pipe builds up water?
There are two natural pressures that work. One is the atmospheric pressure, which is pretty much, it's about 14 point something. It's pretty much the same at sea level anywhere you go. It varies a little bit with the heat and the amount of humidity in the air, but it's pretty much the same. You go up on top of Mount Evans up in Colorado, the higher up you go, the lower it gets, because the air gets thinner, atmospheric pressure goes down.
But underneath the ground, you have what's called hydrologic pressure. And that is the amount of pressure that is on, that's the amount of pressure that the tectonic plates are putting on the subsurface formation. And the water flow here is being pushed by that hydrologic pressure. So if the hydrologic pressure happens to be higher than the atmospheric pressure, the water comes out the top of the ground and it flows. And that happens in Florida, along the Gulf Coast, in parts of Southern California. It used to happen around the Great Lakes. It don't happen around there so much anymore. But around here, the atmospheric pressure almost always is higher than the hydrologic pressure. So it doesn't flow out the top. Now it does vary because sometimes it's only down like 5 feet.
From the surface of the ground.
But there's a place over in West Columbia that it's down 160 feet.
Oh, wow.
Now, strangely enough, all of those wells have a lot of water. All the wells I know of in that 2-mile area there are 20 gallons a minute or more. But the water table is way the heck down there. But that's what determines the water table.
Yeah, I was like, if something was flowing, I was like, well, I would assume it would be just coming up.
It does. It comes up until the atmospheric pressure balances it out, and then it stops.
And then it'll continue flowing wherever it's flowing.
Then it flows on out through the whatever fracture it's moving through.
I got you.